I received another email with an unbelievable, yet real, story. The subject line read, "He got on a bus at 14, and was never seen again." I'll read it for you. My name is Thomas Wade. I retired in 2009 after serving 32 years with the police department of a small town in Oregon. I've seen a lot, and with time, most of it fades into the background. But not this case. Not the disappearance of Alex Rivers. That one still keeps me up at night. It happened in the fall of 1998. Alex was 14 years old. A quiet, intelligent kid. The only son of George and Lynn Rivers, a respectable couple in our town. George was a teacher. Lynn worked bookkeeping at a local bakery. They lived a modest, peaceful life. October 12th started like any other Monday. According to his parents, Alex left for school around 7:45 a.m., wearing his usual school uniform. But he never arrived. When the school called home in the afternoon to ask about his absence, Lynn thought it was a mistake. When they checked his room, they found his school uniform folded neatly in the closet. His backpack was there, untouched. His favorite hoodie and jeans were gone, along with a Discman and about $140 withdrawn from his savings account. But there was something else, a small smear of what looked like blood on the cuff of his uniform shirt. That changed everything. We launched a missing persons investigation that evening. The blood on the shirt was tested. It was human. Typo. Alex was typo. That meant it could have been his. But it wasn't conclusive. There wasn't enough to indicate serious injury, but enough to raise the question, had something happened to him inside the house? Or before he left? We combed the room. No signs of forced entry. No struggle. His window was locked from the inside. The only fingerprints in the room were Alex's and his parents'. We canvassed the neighborhood. No one had seen anything unusual that morning. One of his classmates, Kevin Bostic, later told us Alex had been a bit distant recently. He'd been spacing out, not eating lunch, sketching things in his notebook, mostly stars, galaxies, black holes. He'd always loved astronomy, but Kevin said it felt different lately. More like obsession. A kind of escapism. His parents admitted they noticed changes too. He was sleeping less. Staying up late listening to music. Once, George caught him standing in the backyard at night, just staring at the sky. He didn't answer when asked what he was doing. Just said, "Listening." The next morning, we checked local transit hubs. And that's when we got our first break. Security footage at the town's small bus terminal showed a boy matching Alex's description walking in around 9:30 a.m. He was wearing a dark hoodie and jeans. No bag. Just headphones. He purchased a one-way ticket to Portland. Boarded the 9:50 a.m. bus. That footage turned everything upside down. If he left of his own free will, why the blood? Why leave everything behind? Why tell no one? We pulled additional footage from the terminal. There was no one with him. He didn't talk to anyone. Didn't look nervous. He bought his ticket with cash. Even said thank you to the clerk. The last frame we have of him is blurry, through the window of the bus as it pulled out of the station. His head is tilted back against the seat, eyes closed. Just a boy with a Discman and 1,000 questions in his silence. We followed the trail to Portland. Security footage at the central terminal showed Alex disembarking at 12:51 p.m. Same clothes. Same blank expression. He walked out of the terminal alone, turned right, and disappeared beyond the view of the cameras. That was the last time anyone ever definitively saw Alex Rivers. Over the next few days, we canvassed the area. We talked to nearby businesses, showed his photo, passed out flyers. A barista thought she might have seen him in a coffee shop the next morning, sitting alone with a book. But the timeline didn't hold up. Then we got a break, or what we thought was a break. A man from Eugene, about 2 hours south of Portland, called in to say he saw someone matching Alex's description at a music store. said the kid looked confused, as if he was trying to figure out where he was. But the store's camera footage was too grainy to make a positive ID. Still, we checked bus routes, train times. Everything could line up. But again, no follow-up sightings. In Salem, a librarian claimed to have seen Alex a week after his disappearance. She remembered because he asked about books on astrophysics and black holes, which was unusual for someone his age. Again we checked. Her shift that day? Confirmed. But no signature in the library guest log. No camera. The hardest part was the false hope. Dozens of tips came in. A boy on the side of the highway. A teenager sleeping on a bench. A runaway matching his description caught shoplifting in Spokane. It was never him. Meanwhile, his parents were living in a kind of suspended hell. George took a leave of absence from work. Lynn stopped talking to most of her friends. They never moved. They kept his room exactly as it was, posters on the walls, piano books on the shelf, his shoes lined up near the door. Every night, they left the porch light on. 3 months in, the case had grown cold. No leads. No sightings. The blood found on the shirt, still unexplained. Lab tests ruled out animal blood. We considered the possibility that Alex had injured himself, maybe a nosebleed. But it didn't fit. The location, the angle, the smear, it looked more like it had come from contact with someone else. That's when I started thinking differently. Maybe he wasn't running from someone. Maybe he was running towards something. But what could a 14-year-old boy possibly be chasing that was worth vanishing for? In early 1999, a man in Redding, California, said he picked up a hitchhiker that looked like Alex. Said the boy asked to be dropped near a hiking trail and never gave his name. We searched the trailhead. No trace. And then, for years, nothing. We heard nothing for years. Until 2002. A man from Boise, Idaho, called in to say a teenage boy had stayed briefly at a local youth shelter. He didn't give a name, signed the intake form as Aaron, no last name. The caller said the boy had a hunted look, kept mostly to himself, but one of the volunteers noticed he carried a worn-out book on astronomy. He stayed one night and disappeared before morning. By the time we got there, he was gone. They had no photos. No fingerprints. Just an entry in a logbook and a bed that was cold. We circulated Alex's photo again statewide. We included the alias. No results. For a time, we thought that might be the final lead. But in late 2004, we got something else. A voicemail was left on our department's tip line. Male voice. Calm. Short message. He's okay. He's not coming back. The number traced to a payphone in a bus station in Tacoma, Washington. By the time local officers got there, no one was around. Cameras had been down for maintenance. Dead end. George Rivers listened to the message over and over. He swore the voice sounded familiar. Not Alex's, but someone they might have known. But the quality was too poor to run any voice match. Lynn broke down after hearing it. She said it was the worst kind of hope. In 2006, we received another tip. A hiker in Olympic National Park told a ranger he'd met a young man at a remote site who seemed cagey when asked about his background. Said he didn't use his real name and that he used to be someone else. The man had been camping alone for weeks. No ID. Paid cash for supplies. When the hiker showed him a photo of Alex from a flyer he later found online, he thought it might be him. We searched the area. Spoke to every outfitter and supply store in a 50-mile radius. Nothing. No one had sold gear to a man like that recently. Or at least, no one remembered. By then, it had been nearly a decade since Alex left. If he was alive, he'd be turning 24. We reopened the case officially in 2007. We re-interviewed family members, neighbors, even his old teachers. One of them, Mr. Aldridge, recalled Alex giving a presentation in 8th grade about disappearing civilizations. The last slide read, "Sometimes silence is survival." Another former classmate said Alex once told him, "If I ever vanish, maybe don't try to find me. It'll mean I'm finally where I belong." There were no concrete answers, only fragments. At one point, George and Lynn hired a private investigator. He followed a few weak leads, including one in Arizona, but nothing panned out. They even spoke to a journalist who wanted to turn the story into a documentary, but Lynn pulled out. She said she didn't want to turn grief into entertainment. In 2009, I retired. But before I left, I placed everything from the Rivers case into a single archival box. I wrote one word in red marker on the outside: unfinished. Today, that box sits in evidence storage. I visit it once a year. Alex would be 40 now. His parents still live in the same house. Porch light still on. Room still untouched. His Discman sits on the shelf, batteries long dead. We never found out where the blood came from. We never found out what he was listening for in the backyard. We never found out who called from Tacoma. And we may never know. But I do know this: some disappearances aren't about getting lost. They're about choosing to be gone. And some silences are not absence, they're answers. Let me know what you think in the comments. This was Tell Me What Happened. I'll see you in the next story.